Hello gamers, and welcome back to Beyond the Emulator. Today I will be giving you my first impressions of the Trimui Smart Pro-S running Crossmix 1.3.9. I picked up this TSP-S last week, and after spending some time checking it out, I'm ready to dive deep into the menus to show you what works and what doesn't. Plus I'll be showcasing two awesome add-on apps, JukaHub and a custom RGB controller. After that we'll test out some gameplay and settings. There's a lot to cover, so let's get started. So sit back, grab your device, and follow along to see if there's something you can adjust to get better gameplay and performance, as we are going to be going beyond the emulator. And lastly, if you enjoy these handheld videos, drop a like and maybe subscribe to my page. I also have created a Trimui Retro helpline on Discord if you're interested. Details below. Again, thank you and enjoy. Now, without keeping you in suspense, let's get started. Hello gamers, and welcome back to your host Dylan, as usual. So today is a small little short preview to lead up to the rest of this video. What I've got today is a new package. So as you can see up in the front, we've got the TSPs. I've got three of them. One of them is loaded with the Newly Scarab, one is loaded with the Spruce OS, and one is loaded with Mu OS. So we've got a new package and a new addition to the Trimui collection at the Beyond the Emulator lab. We're going to go ahead and open this up. We just received today. See what we've got inside. See how our weekend's going to go. Got this box. Got some information. We've got another little item here. Let's see. We'll move it out of the way in the bubble wrap. We've got a card that's basically giving us information about their product. Let's see what we got inside. We've got a grip, okay, for a Trimui Smart Pro. That's kind of cool, and it's white. Let's see what else we have in the package. Whoa, a case. We've got a case. What else do we have in the package? Trimui TG5050 Trimui Smart Pro-S in white. Purpose built to spark your imagination. Well, we have definitely seen videos of this in the past 4 to 5 months. Let's see what we got. We've got a case. We've got some grips. Let's unveil the box and see what we've got inside. We've got a Trimui Smart Pro-S. Go ahead and pull it out of the package. There's an instruction sheet and a power cord. Let's go ahead and remove everything. It is in white, upside down, and currently there is no SD card. So we're going to go ahead and have to load it up with an SD card, get some ROMs on it, and get it formatted. But beautiful in white. Like everybody said, triggers are a little bit bigger. I can already feel it. Buttons feel like they're a little bit better. Joysticks. You've got the L3s now and the R3. You've got a home button at the top, which everybody has also shared with you. Everything pretty much looks the same. But if we wanted to just boot it up for the first time, let's see where we go. So this would be your first boot. Let's see what stock OS throws at us. Just like Trimui. Now I've got some new SD cards I'm going to get formatted. We'll go ahead and get this loaded up. So same front end. We've got 73% on the battery presently. Go over to emulators. We've got, again, no ROMs. Function key, mood light, picture, video, USB storage. We've got the settings. We can get with the device information. It is version 1.0.1. That was dated back on 12/08 of 2025. That's the latest version that's here. I'll have to double check and see if there's a newer version. Showing there's an SD card, 1 gig. So memory, 1 gig. You can see all the information on the CPU. We have Wi-Fi we have not connected. Other devices, USB none. That would be something basically probably on the upper port on the host or for the DC. We'll have to look a little bit deeper. If I press the menu key, let's go ahead and get out of this. So basically the same settings that are exactly, dead zone is something that's different. We'll have to look into that. Calibrate joysticks, that was not located on the settings for the Trimui Smart Pro. Pretty much everything it looks like is the same. Apps, same but without images. Emulators, recent, favorites, and that's it. So here's our preview. I'm going to go ahead and load up an SD card, spend the weekend with it, and provide you a feedback. What we got with the Trimui Smart Pro-S. So now that we've passed the unboxing and you saw that I basically booted it up in stock OS, what I did was I went ahead and got my provided Crossmix 1.3.9 SD card, loaded it up. It had about 4,000 games on it. So what I did was I went back and put the card into my computer and went ahead and trimmed the folder down and copied it to create my own brand new SD card for Crossmix 1.3.9, and went ahead and added manually some ROMs, some port master. So basically what I've got showed up here is down below I've got Dreamcast, DS, Game Boy Advance, Genesis, PSP, Neo Geo, N64, Master System, graphics, TurboGrafx, PSX, ports, Super NES, and some Saturn. So when we go to PSX, I've got a small list just to show. So we'll do a sample of one game of each platform, just to kind of give you in some settings. I haven't completely done all the scraping for some of the games I've added, but all the BIOS and everything else was carried over. So just to give you a quick note, if you go over to my computer here, this is the file. I hope it doesn't come out too much of a blur, but basically if you were going to take the supplied Surwish Crossmix 1.3.9 SD card, you basically would take everything that's off the card, copy it, less the ROMs and less the data. The data is actually the files that are being used for Portmaster. And the ROMs, of course, are for the subfolders for each of the platforms that are being used. So to remove all those, what I did was I basically took all the other files, copied them over, and then actually created a new folder called ROMs, and basically just added individually the 10 to 13 platforms that I have showing today. As well as for the data, I was able to take the files that I wanted for Portmaster and do the same as well, and put them into the data file. So I wasn't carrying over many gigabytes of data unnecessary to start this SD card build. So just to kind of give you that example. So back to the device. There we go. So just basically, it is basically the same as Crossmix 1.3.0. You've got the same kind of settings and options. You see ports here, you've got some screen art, you've got favorites. Some of the things that are new that are in here, you've gone into your apps. We've got Moonlight, which works. Boot logo I have not created yet. Activities is a new application. If you click on it, these are basically going into the settings and stuff. Oh, it doesn't seem to be working. So that is a definite fail. I'll have to get more into detail. I have not used it as a USB storage. I've basically used it, actually, you can connect it to Samba. And when it pulls up on there, it'll show up. EMU Cleaner, same as Crossmix 1.3.9. File Manager, I have not done the over-the-air update. There is a hot fix. We can go ahead and do that today for the first time. You've got Portmaster, you've got Reboot, you've got RetroArch. RetroArch is using the most current 1.22.2. You can go in there and we can do some configurations that I've set up. I'll show you as well. And then we've got our scraper, same identical to the previous version of Crossmix. Smart LED is new, so I'll show you how their stock version works for Crossmix. And then System Tools, there's a lot of new changes there. Terminal, User Guide. And then 2 added apps that will work on the TSP-S that I just recently found was the LED for TSP-S, which is really cool, and JukaTube, which is an internet browser, YouTube browser. So let's go back over to our menu. A couple things that I have not done yet. before we get started, let's go with the over-the-air update, and let's see what happens when we do this. We might have to plug in, we're at about 25%. We're checking our internet connection. Now, as far as some couple things that you notice that you might have already known, fan in the back, nice. But if you notice that the grip that they provided here, when you put it on, it's going to cover up the fan. So that is not really practical to do. I wouldn't recommend it on this particular model. Maybe the previous versions that don't have the vent holes, I feel like it's just blocking air. We're going to go ahead and apply the hotfix. Another thing that they have that's been added, that's also been noted on it, was the home key. I'll show you that after we do this hotfix. Looks like our hotfix was done successfully. It's going to reboot. There it goes. I don't have a boot logo on it yet. I don't know what the hotfix exactly did. We'll check into that. But you've got your lights on here. And you have to go into your settings, not your system tools, to be able to turn the lights on or off. We're applying the setting here. And my CPU performance is off, so the setting down below here, if I were to turn this on, is going to put the boost on. So it goes back to my applications. We can actually do a boot logo as well. Let's see what happens. See if it applies, which was something that was not working. So we've got quite a few different pictures. This one's actually interesting, the alien flowers too. Let's go with that. Resolution is lower than expected, so it should adjust itself. Did not. Interesting one as well. Let's try that. So it looks like my settings are actually out of place for that, so we'll have to go to a stock one or go in and make a change. Interesting. So we'll just go with the basic default Trimui. And it didn't give us an error, so let's do this. We're going to go down to our settings, and also when you go to display here, if you want your RGB lights to be on, there they are. You need to turn them on. This would be where you need to go. So we're going to go to System. And I believe we can go to our Applications. We're going to do a reboot. But actually it runs really nice. That screen was not normal after the hot update, where we were getting that white flash. But it's giving the Trimui icon here. It's really hard to see. So the hotfix did not seem to make it any, except for flashing the front screen. But again, that's to the firmware, so it's not necessarily you have to do the hotfix if I do another Crossmix build. Here we go, we go back, boot it up. Okay, so we've done the boot logo, which did not seem to work correctly, the over-the-air update. So here we are also in some settings. Portmaster works. If you were going to click on that, that's going to open up Portmaster. I'll show you some games that have worked on Portmaster. And then RetroArch. You can go into this setting here, and what I've recommended doing is making changes. You've got a little bit different interface than what you've normally seen. If you go over to your user interface, as you can see, I've got my frames per second and my memory. So to put that into place, you go to user interface, you go down to on-screen notifications, you go to notification visibility, and you're going to click on display frame rate. If you click on it in the standalone RetroArch application, every time you load a game into RetroArch, this will populate on top of the screen in the top right hand corner, as well as display memory usage, because we've got 1 gig of RAM, so we're seeing what the memory is being used based on the performance when we're playing. We're going to go ahead and tap out of that. So those are basically that as one setting. We're going to go down to video. And what I've done is actually gone to scaling. And I've changed my integral scale to on. And I've actually changed it to integral scale scaling smart. So you have either choices of underscale or overscale. Smart actually balances it out really well. So that is a setting that I have changed to get out of there. And then typically when I get out of everything on RetroArch, I go to my configuration file, I save my current configuration, so then it'll save those settings when we go ahead and boot up a game. We'll go ahead and get out of RetroArch. Just a couple quick changes there. And if you go up to Scraper, basically it's very similar to the original Crossmix 1.3.0, but it's given some choices for artwork. Load this up. So you've got the first option here, configuration. You've got media type, and what it's doing is it's allowing you different choices of screen scraping. So if you wanted it to be 2D or 3D, that could be your choice. So for example, we'll back out of this really quick. We'll go over to Game Boy Advance. Most of these, I believe, see if we can find a that has, there we go, it's Castlevania, it's not going to pick it up. So if we have Nintendo 64 and see how we have our artwork over here, we've got a screenshot and then also the game box. Let's go ahead and make that change. So we're going to go ahead and back out of it. Going to go to our apps. We're going to go down to Scraper, and we're going to do a Nintendo 64 update on the artwork. So we're going to go Configuration. We're going to go with just basically the box 3D art, so we'll select that. It's going to refresh for that. Now we're going to go ahead and back out of that. Now we're going to go down to what is being selected as a Nintendo 64. We're going to go ahead and scrape it. So right now it's launching a scraper in the background. And you can see it's actually doing the scraping work on the side over here.
Scraping finished.
Scraping's finished. So now we're going to go ahead and get back out. Go over to our emulators. Go to Nintendo 64. And as you can see, Star Wars Rogue Squadron, that's the 3D box that it gave, because the other ones already had image, so it did not refresh all of the box art. It only selected ones that were missing. So Castlevania 2, that's why it was so quickly. Here's our 3D box if we wanted to use that one. Not the most appealing, so I'll have to go in and maybe adjust to find something a little bit better. Plus Castlevania needs to be adjusted as well as far as the name title, just to clean up things here. So that kind of gives you an example how the scraper works. So then we go back down to our apps. We've got what is included with the Trimui Smart Pro-S is you've got the Smart LED. So we'll go ahead and click on that and see how that functions. So right now I was using the other program. We're going to enable a quick test. So as you can see, you can do them blinking. You can do them based on CPU speed, reactive, Aurora, Firefly. So you do quite a few different things to make them change. We've got a rainbow snake. We can do different changes here, and also you've got the one in the middle blinking. So lots of things that can be offered. Battery level gauge, color, ambient, CPU temperature. If we wanted to narrow the speed down and bring it down, we could lower it. We could also lower our brightness. So lots of things to play with if you want to mess with your LED lights. So now that they're flashing. Now if we were going to go down to what I had just picked up from a Reddit post was LED for TSP-S. So we're going to go ahead and select that. And I'll show you what they have to offer for LED lighting. So here you've got your left joystick, your right joystick. and basically they're solid colors, and then your center logo. So if we want to go with our left, we could go with a color here. So if we want to go with gold, or if we wanted to go with purple, I believe it's going to change. And if we want to go with lime, and we want to go with orange, and we want to save and exit. Now our lights have actually changed, but they're still flashing because of the other smart LED, so they're kind of fighting each other. So that's a little bit more further to be tested, but that looks like a lot of fun and busyness when it's darker. We'll go ahead and turn off the display to save the battery. Go to my display, turn off my LEDs, and I believe we're still flashing. So we're going to go back over here to the smart LED. And we should be able to turn it off. There we go, nothing. And there we go. We should get them to stop. They are just going crazy today, aren't they? I have no idea how they're going to turn off. So we'll move on. So next application that is really good and useful tool is System Tools. Go in here. And in here there's quite a few settings that you can make changes. So if you've loaded it up and you have your overlays or bezels on the side, you're able to remove those. It does take a few extra seconds to boot up. So if we've got our controls, we can go down each of the menus. Controls, basically if you want the smart LEDs disabled, that would be if you're doing it during gameplay. You've got a hardware test. We've got emulators, which is basically using the RetroArch. So you've got auto load, you can make your changes in there, overlays. So this is a big one right here. You want your in-game menu, that's going to allow you to put your save states and settings, like the original Crossmix 1.3.0. Your overlays, you're able to have a choice of no overlays or overlays. Right now at this moment, I'm not going to use any overlays. I feel like it gives me a better screen. I don't want the side borders at the moment. You can resume at boot, you can set up for retro achievements, you can install retro achievement cheats. There's also still the PSX analog detector for games that are there, so if we were to detect it for the 4 games that I have, any DualShock, 1 analog compatible game detected. So the controller will be set up for that game. We can reset basically the RetroArch. But the key ones that are in this emulator menu, I would say, would be the overlays. Initially, when people see it, they want to get the overlays off, as well as setting up your retro achievements. So as far as your network, going down in there, the only one that I'm using right now, I'm using Tailscale, which you can enable it, and then SMB, which is Samba, which is basically you're able to use it wirelessly, just connecting to your network on your Wi-Fi computer. So that works really well. Themes, you can go in and do the same themes. Nothing has changed here from the previous version on Crossmix. I'm not going to really get into the detail there. Tools, you can set up any of the changes here for files. Basically, everything is the same as well as the previous Crossmix. The user interface, by the way, the best section, that also was removed when I set up my device for the new build. I removed that whole section so it's not being shown up on my tab. If we want to check an update, we can do enable. If you want to start up, you can do the main, or you could do RetroArch. You can set up a lot of different front-end user interfaces to make your screen work. And that's about it for there. Let's go back down to apps. Moonlight works. I just do not have my computer set up for Moonlight for this video. And one last one that I'd like to share that also I added on to Crossmix was JukaHub. So we're going to go ahead and boot that up, and then we're going to get into some gameplay and settings. So there's JukaHub. So you're going to use your mouse, which is your joystick here. We're going to press A, and basically we've got an internet browser. We can go ahead and use our D-pad as well. So if we were to go over here, these are my videos, or some of my videos, but we'll hit some of this one right here, Trimui Smart Pro-S. If we were to go ahead and click it, jumps right to his video. And I think we need to change the audio. If I press A, where did he go? There we go. But I'm not getting any sound. Oh, he opened it right up to Tube Explorer. So he's showing it right there. So you can basically use JukaHub for Tube Explorer. So we're videoing a video of the same product. So this is just an example. If you want to go ahead and download it, I included the links for both of the add-on apps as well. So let's go ahead and get out of this. For some reason I've had a tough time getting out of the application, but it has worked. So I'm going to put you on hold. So game time. I rebooted my device actually and got the lights off, and then they were actually turned, so can't really use both of the applications for the RGB lights. So I'll have to tinker with that. And I plugged it in because my battery was getting low. But I did notice when we rebooted, my ports icon disappeared, and this is a really bad cable. My DC, which was Dreamcast, was in the front, and it got moved over here to Sega Dreamcast, and it actually threw a background there, so when I select it, it's got a background on it, which is not what all the other ones, because it defaulted to the original. So I'll have to go into my settings, which would be going to my apps. We'd have to go to System Tools, and I'll show you how to make that change. Yeah, this cord seems to be a little bit funky. So we're going to go into System Tools, and we're going to correct those two folders on the front end. And then we're going to get right to some gameplay. So if we go down to our theme, we go to our theme pack. We want to go to Advanced Settings. And we want to go with the tile images. We're going to click it. Should refresh. There we go. So now if I go back out of this, and I go to my emulators, as you can see, now I've got the Sega DC, still the same background there, but I've got the right icon, and same with ports. So just to show you that. And then one other thing that I wanted to share off is going up here on the top, you've got this new home button that they added, and basically it's just showing you some specs here. So right now we're showing the speed at 1128 megahertz on demand for your governor. My temperature is only 54 degrees Celsius. Everything seems to be in its charging. You've got things here, if you ever get stuck in a game, you can go over here to do this kill switch and press A. If you needed to change your fan settings, you can go into here, or your CPU settings, you can go into there. So let's see, if we go to the fan for auto, you'll see you can turn it off, and you've got fan speeds. We're going to keep it at auto. I've had no issues. It hasn't really warmed up too much. And then if I go over here, press A, whoops, go B for back. Then if we go to our CPU, as you can see, you can go Eco, Dynamic, or Performance. So that's how that works. We'll go ahead and do B, and we'll leave it at Performance. So actually we're going to ramp up all this. We're even going to put the Performance mode on for all these games and see how things change. Now that you can see it's been changed to the Governor Performance, our speed will probably ramp up as well shortly when we get to some gameplay. It already did to 1416. So we'll go ahead and get out of this. So let's start off with some platforms. Whoops. Get back up here. We'll start from the D's, start from the beginning. So DS, NDS. Wanted to share with you, I located one game, Little Red Riding Hood's Zombie Barbecue. It will boot, but unfortunately you need a stylus for this particular game, so it doesn't really play. But my biggest issue with the NDS on this Crossmix is our choices are drastic. No overlays. You've got either by near or nearest, for image. Not a problem, but it's using a very old version, so it's not giving you the greatest quality. I would say NDS on this particular Crossmix 1.3.9 is not a good idea to do that. There is much better custom firmware out there, NextUI, Spruce OS, Newly, and Muos, that have a much better platform for NDS going currently. So sorry about that. But if we go here with the nearest, we'll go ahead and select it. I'll just kind of give you an example. You're not able to get a one screen. You're only able to flip it back and forth. And when you go into your settings, which is your menu key, you're using a older drastic, it is a current version, but it hasn't been customized like the other custom firmware has done. So it doesn't give you a lot of choices here. So I'm not even going to go with an example on that. I'm going to just let you know this is something not a high end on the Crossmix for NDS. So we'll go ahead and get out of that. Let's get to something that is going to work. So we'll go to Game Boy Advance. Basically, we can select Drill Dozer is an excellent game to show off. We'll go with, and I've got artwork, we'll go with X, and actually it'll do the same thing Crossmix did previously. It gives you all the cores that are available. Actually includes the MGBA standalone. We'll go ahead and just typically hit the MGBA. As you can see, because I've opened up the RetroArch, I've got my frames per second, my memory already up there. Audio is good. By the way, you also have two speakers in the back that are actually whole ports for the speakers. So you're also getting sound out of these back ends here, as well as these front ends. Probably a little more output from here, as you can tell. If I want to go ahead and hit my menu key, and go to a load state, press A, I'm going to go all the way down to where I'm at here. And basically, we're right into the game, no borders at all. If I wanted to go into advanced menu, it's going to open up my RetroArch in the back. You'll see that's RetroArch 1.2.2. We're using the MGBA core. So you can see all these are settings you can go into and make. So if we want to go to our save state, and we wanted to go to a load, we bring this back. Should give us a save state from here. We'll go back to load, to this. So working well for Drill Dozer. If you want to go ahead and get out of it, you press your menu key again. If you want to save it to a save state, you've got up to 10 saves and loads combined. So exit, we'll go ahead and get out of there. GBA works really well. You've got all these other excellent games I've played around with that seem to work so far. Ones with stars I've actually ran, but everything seems to be running great there, just like it was on Crossmix. If we go over to, Genesis, go ahead and hit Rocket Knight Adventure. If we go with X, basically you've got your choices of the Pico drive, the Genesis plus GX, wide, and then also another custom version. I believe when I last used it, Pico drive is the default. That's typically the top one. Gonna load the game. But to be honest with you, everything has worked really nice. The triggers are a little bit bigger in the back, something to notice. And the buttons seem to be a little bit more lifted out. And then again, remember, you also have an L and R3 button by pushing them down like that, if you want to set them up for your hotkeys for some of your games. When we get up to PlayStation. Excellent image. With the no borders, it just makes it look really well. I do not have a save state set up, so if I do a save, it's going to default record here of 1, and it wouldn't have an arrow until I get a save state on the load side. So just so you know. So booting it up for the first time. Works really well. Nice image. We're running at about 60 frames per second. which is typical. So most of these games are going to basically run about the same as they were before. We'll go ahead and get out of that as the Crossmix previous version. So not a lot of performance changes, I would just say, but the image is looking really good. We'll go over to Master System, another Sega platform. You've got Sonic the Hedgehog, you've got Miss Pac-Man, Golden Axe. If we go, plenty of games. We're not going to run into all of them. We'll go hit the highlights of one. But if I go in here again, under this Master platform, I've got Pico Drive and Genesis Plus X. So it shows my cores available there. Go to Nintendo 64, that gets a little bit more exciting. We've got a few more extra cores. But if we were going to go with like Hydro Thunder, go ahead and press X for that. As you can see, there's 3 cores that are being used by RetroArch and 3 cores that are standalone. So they're basically the same ones that were being used previously on Crossmix, but I would say the most recommended one would be the Movement 64 Plus Rice. It's also being used in some of the other custom firmwares. It seems to run really well. Unfortunately, there's no hotkeys, so there's no way of saving any placement. Being a standalone, it doesn't have a lot of settings in it. But as far as running here, let's see how it goes. There is a couple other custom firmwares that have more settings available in their Nintendo 64 platforms. Spruce OS and Mu OS have Ludicrous Core, which runs really well. Something that's not in Crossmix or NextUI or Newly. But you've got a full screen here. Your audio is going to be a little rough. Audio's a little off. See, it's very low. So there is the give and take. You have to decide, do you want a good image or sound quality, or do you want a rough image with skipping and good quality? So that's part of the emulation. Having to choose what you want. But as far as driving, input, there we go. Nice. It would be nice to be able to see the frames per second, but this image is actually really nice on this screen. Really clear, not much more different than Ridge Racer 64, but I would say, there we go. Colors are very vibrant. You can see very well. And my backlight is very low, but as far as this game, works really, really nice. So just a recommendation is you want to look at the options of cores before you decide, and then again to get out of it. There we go. So we'll go ahead out of Nintendo 64. We'll go to Neo Geo. A couple games that I've really enjoyed lately, and they do work on here, which I'm happy, is Slipstream, which is a race car game I've shared before, and then Crosswords 2. So if I go to my X, we're going to use the FB Neo core. And this is Crosswords 2. It was a game that I had actually seen on the Dweeb's channel in one of his videos. Interesting little fighting game. You're actually a first-person shooter or fighter. It does have a little bit glitch on the boot up. Buttons have to be getting used to. Select is for your start. We're going to select a character. Again, we're at 60 frames per second. We're only using about a third of the RAM. And here we are. We're the silhouette there. There we go. So we are the silhouette fighting. There we go. Awesome. Awesome game. And actually you can even do a save state. So let's go to our load state that we had. We'll go to our 2 and actually it would go right back if we got A, right to our spot. So if we wanted to select this one, different group of people. See how this one goes. And we're trying to do a fight. Fight, fight, fight. There we go. We're fighting a frog. Fighting a frog. So, there we go. Fighting a frog. Fighting a frog. So, there we go. That's our example with Neo Geo. Let's go ahead and get back out of those. Great game. We'll go to ports in a minute. Those are kind of some highlights here. Let's go over to Super NES. Check out our Super. We've got basically Pop and Twinbee. Great game to play. If I go here, you can see the cores that are available. Default Super NES 9X, but you've also got these other options that you can use. So just wanted to show you that there. If you wanted to go to TurboGrafx 16, I've got a couple games that I've selected. Now if you go to X on that one, it doesn't give you a choice for override or packland. So when I click it, going A to select override, we go ahead and press menu key. We go to advanced menu. It's actually using the RetroArch Beetle PCE Fast core. So it's not showing it, but it's using the PC Engine. So that is the core that it's actually using. We'll go to resume. Good image. Again, 60 frames per second. Still a good screen if we wanted to make any changes here. So if we were to go here, and we went to advanced menu, and we went over to our video, and we went to scaling, we've got it to integral scaling, and we've got it at smart. So if you did an underscale, and you go back, it's going to basically be about the same, I think. So here I'll show you, go advanced, video, scaling, overscale, it should have restarted. There we go. Let's see if it made that change. Did not make that change. So we're going to go back out of RetroArch, go over to video, go to scaling, we're going to overscale, we're going to go smart, and we could actually change our core provided, or we could go to a 16:9, stretch it, and there you go. This is what we were looking after. Fills the whole screen and it works out still really well. No real damage at all. No, as far as you're not losing anything. Works really well for this game. Fills up the screen. So just so you know, you could actually get this to fill the image with even 16:9 just by tweaking your RetroArch settings. Something you'll have to learn to do. Alright, we'll go ahead and get out of that. And again, it's just getting into RetroArch and starting to play around with the settings. So we'll go ahead and get out of that. Again, that was TurboGrafx, but Super NES will do that as well. I've seen a lot of good games lately. So we've got over here, we've got Saturn. We've got one game on a couple games here that have worked. And what you'll see is you've got their RetroArch core, is the Yabashari Show. And then also he's got the standalone. Either one will work. Typically I've used the HLE BIOS. It seems to work a little bit better. Image isn't too bad. Now if you were to go to your menu key, you'll see their settings come up on the standalone, which is nice. So you can actually go to frames per second. This is in Japanese. So we're not going to be able to know what it's saying. But I just wanted to show you an example here of this game. There we go. It's a pinball game. Uh-oh. What happened to our game? Oops. There we go. Great image on this game. Kind of a slow little bit on the ball. Now, if we go to our settings and we go over to configuration, what I'm reading is 2 times resolution. So I've actually increased it. So maybe my frames per second might be going down, but I'm getting actually a bigger image by changing it there. And if I go to my load state, I've got 2 load states. So if I go to the one I recently did and click OK, there's the game I previously had, opened right up. My score is still there, so the ball's a little slow on what it's been doing. But this is just an example here of another game that works as well using the Saturn core. Let's go ahead and get out of this. And we're going to be moving on to some PlayStation and some Dreamcast. So we've got ports, we've got PSP, PSX, and Dreamcast. So let's hit Dreamcast next. So we're at Dreamcast, and we're going to do Swords of Berserk, Guts Revenge. So if you go up to X, you can see they're only using 1 core. It's the Flycast 2.5. It's a standalone. So we're going to go and press A. This actually works really well on the TSP-S. I would say Dreamcast is definitely an upgrade. Here, playing some of these games, we're going to go to Menu Key. Here's what our settings menu is. I don't have any saves, it looks like. First time playing it, I know I've played it before, but if I go here and you look into your settings, basically everything is the normal. We're going to go over to video. They're using the Volcon, and we're using the native. We're going to actually raise that to 1.5 resolution. And we're going to put down our frames per second down below as well. We're going to force the nearest for texture filtering. As our change, everything else we're going to keep the same, and we're going to load any custom textures. That's one more setting. So we're going to go over here. We make the game configuration. Now you go to done. We're going to go to resume. We're going to get this game going. We're at about 27, 28%. Boot this game up. Audio, so far so good. Now we're up to about 60, but I know it's going to drop. But as far as the battle, this is at 1.5 resolution. But our sword is still swinging. We're dropping down to 30, but it's working. Audio seems to be okay for this game. Gonna come back. Where's this one guy here? There you go. Nice. With a big sword. There is a little bit of lag. But as far as here he comes. Audio seems to be really good on this. And this is again at 1.5. It's just I feel like this particular game on Nintendo 64 struggles as far as the joysticks. But there you go. There's an example. We'll go ahead and do a save state. We'll go ahead and get out of it. Works really well. As far as cheats, I have not set up any cheats yet on it. So there's an example of your Dreamcast. Nice. Go ahead and get out of that. We're going to go PSX. So a couple games here. Again, we're going to hit Skeleton Warriors. Going to go ahead and press X. As you can see, it's got the typical defaulted cores that was used over on the Crossmix original version. We've got the PCSX rearmed, Duck Station, Swan Station, and Swan Station 16.9. One note is one of the video games, or one of the games that I use for my pinball retro collection was actually having to use Swan Station as its core. So that one works out really well. The boot time is a little bit longer because you're going to get your boot up on it. But I just wanted to show you it does work for some of the other games if needed. So PCSX rearmed is my default. We're going to go with that. We're going to go ahead and see if we have a load state. Perfect. We've got a load state right here. But as far as working, this one's got a little bit better input. But as far as him moving around, as far as we're still getting 60 frames per second using the RetroArch. Clean image. We've got smart scaling. Not a problem at all. Excellent performance. This game is working great on here. I want you to... No problems with jumping, moving. Whoops. Getting hit by rocks. Not good. But as far as the battle and the input, not a problem. There seems to be no issue. This game works really well for PSX. You're not killing it. There we go. So there's an example with your PSX. We'll go ahead and exit that. So we've got PSP that I basically had did some earlier video this week, so I'm just going to add that at the end of the couple games that I played. What I'd like to do is actually show you ports. Ports actually worked really well. So on the SD card that was included with the 1.3.9 Crossmix, they loaded it up with a bunch of Portmaster games. And I went ahead and copied quite a few of them over, and they all work again as well. And then I've actually added a few that I've also gotten from my Internet Archive community post that I did about a month ago, and those work as well. So Cro-Mag Rally, Diablo works, Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City works, Rhoda I have not been able to get going, Sonic Mania works, Stardew Valley, Super Mario 64 is awesome, The Simpsons Hit and Run, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Shredder's Revenge works. There's a little bit of a lag time when you boot it, so we'll go backwards just to give you a showing example of showcasing of each of these booting up and working with Crossmix 1.3.9 with the files that are either from Internet Archive. So this is an Internet Archive file. But I want to say, as Portmaster has worked really well this week. I've played a lot of Portmaster stuff this week on here. I've tested a lot of the games to see if they'd work. There we go. See again, there's quite a little bit of load time. There we go. We're at full volume. The SD card that was included actually had a foreign version, so it wasn't able to make me read what it said on the screen. So I had to actually get the version from Internet Archive to work, and it had to patch it, which you'll just need to wait maybe a little bit of time while the files are being compressed, but it does work. You're not getting any frames per second on here, but you are getting a full image. And everything is actually working perfect. Let's get right to the game.
Select your unit. Turtles, let's get our shell here.
So if we're going to go, we'll go ahead and get out of this, and I'll show you we've got this, X out. And another one that's worked really well, Simpsons Hit and Run. This one boots up rather quickly. There we go. It's one I know that's been ported for the R36, and it worked as well. So a lot of games are able to cross over between devices. You're just going to have to do a little looking for those, or if you see me find something, I'll let you know. We can go right to my resume game. Excellent image on the screen. Excellent image. Oh, sorry, Marge.
You little...
Sorry.
Holy, Lisa left for school without her science project. Can you get it to her? Oh, do I have to?
Audio clear as day. So, just wanted to show you the example of Simpsons Hit and Run. I was able to locate that as well. It works also in MuOS. I have not tested it on the other systems. So that was just a couple quick examples. We can actually go to Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Boot it up. I don't believe I've booted up this game. I did not put a star. There we go. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Still good image. Files have been compiled nicely. These developers have done some really great work.
Never let him out. He kept his head down. Helps people forget. People will remember soon enough.
See?
When it's
Audio.
down the streets of their neighborhoods, it will be bad for business. Well,
Excellent image.
I poked my head out of the gutter for one freaking second and fate shovels shit in my face. Go get some sleep.
See?
What are you gonna do? I'll drop by your office tomorrow and we can start sorting this mess out.
There we go. There we go. Turn it around. You can go this way. Image, no problem. We're moving around, dancing.
These people make me sick. Who's that? Hey, pretty singer.
Excellent image. So, working well. So, ports, excellent. So, all in all, quick summary. I'm going to show you some PSP at the end here, right after this. But all in all, I would say Crossmix 1.3.9 is great on the TSP-S. Has worked really well, not getting a lot of warm on the back. The fan has been going for all this gameplay that we've been doing. We've checked out, we've done some settings and tested. Again, not too bad. I was a little unsure of it at the front end because of the 1 gigabyte of RAM, but I've seen so some of these platforms have actually run really well. Now what I'm going to try and do is take a new custom firmware as well onto the S model and try and do some comparison to what we have again. So videos coming up with a lot of comparison between the TSP and the TSP-S. So stay tuned. All right. With that, thank you so much again for watching and stay tuned for some PSP. So here we are back on the TSP-S model, and we're going to run PSP. There's a selection of games that I've actually added, and I have not ran through all of them. I've hit a couple of them, but I've added a few more. Marvel Superheroes I started, so let's go ahead and check that out. We're going to go ahead and press X. We're going to go with the Volcon. We could go with the performance. We'll just go with the standard and see how that performs and see if we have any issues. Seems that is the default. So when we go to menu, just delete it off. We've got a save state there. So looking at their settings, this is the version PPSSPP 1.19.3, which you've seen on other platforms, custom firmware. Go to the settings. They're actually, you got the back end, the Volcon. The resolution is 2 times. You can see the settings that are already here. Full screen has been defaulted. These are all default settings. No frame skip. So currently any games that I've been playing, I have not used any frame skip. I haven't made any changes at all. The only thing I've actually put is the frames per second counter up in the right hand corner. But as far as any of the settings that are in here, nothing has been modified. Even the anastrophic filtering, I've left it off. So have not made any changes, not even as my normal alternative speed. I usually convert it over to unlimited. I have not changed that at all. So we're truly trying to go at just the bare bone of what it is. But I have changed the resolution on a couple of the games that I've started, so I'll give you a peek of how that's working. So let's go ahead and get back. Let's go ahead and get to the save state. Let's go ahead and load it. We're going to go to Marvel Superhero Squad. We're just going to go ahead and do a battle. Whoops. We're going to go ahead and select the profile like that. We'll play the computer. We're just going to do a quick versus. We're going to go ahead and select the Hulk. And we'll go ahead and select Thor. We'll go ahead and continue. And we'll continue. We'll go ahead and hit Savage Land. Screen on it, still pretty clear. We're getting about 31 frames per second. Have not done any cheats. Pretty clear image. 30.
Ready. Fight.
Jumping, no problem. Still reading about 30, and that's at 2x resolution. Doesn't seem to be moving as quickly as I'd like him to. There's a little, ooh. So, we'll go another round here. I'm not a very good fighter on these type of games, but it does give you an example. So, let's go and tweak it. Go to continue, go to settings. Now again, in this setting for the Crossmix SSPP, again, Crossmix 1.3.9, your A button is actually, when you're doing your settings, is your enter, versus when you're back to the gameplay, you're set up as a PSP configuration where your X is B. So we're going to go there. We're going to keep it at the Volcon. We're going to change the resolution. Let's have some fun here. Let's go 4x. Let's leave everything the same. We're going to continue.
Challenge me at your own risk.
Still getting it frames. We haven't done anything. There we go. Still moving okay. Nothing has been changed. Not able to... There we go. He's just, Thor is just taking me down. There we go. Unfortunately, we died. But at 4x resolution, you can see the image here. Really good. So it actually will work if we raise up the resolution and not change any settings. We're still getting 30 frames per second. So let's even go to cheats. Let's go import cheats. All we have is infinity health. So nothing to change your frames per second. So that's not going to help us. So again, we were able to go from 2x to 4x, still reading 30 frames per second with no changes on the core settings. So, kind of nifty. We'll exit that out. Let's hit another game. Drop down to... What I have seen is Tiger Woods PGA Tour Golf. Really good image. Let's go to Metal Gear Solid. Now, when we enter it, let's go ahead and hit this as performance. But what it's going to do is probably, if we were to go to the original one, Volcon, it was automatically going to, I believe, default to the 4x resolution we had previously set. I can't guarantee it, but I just want you to be aware of it. Your settings might be carrying over from game to game. So let's just go with what we were already originally using. If we need to make changes, we'll go to the performance. Now again, we've already started a save state. The other day when I booted it up, we're going to go to settings. See, it's already set at rendering resolution 4x PSP. So let's lower it down to 2 right now. Continue. Just to get the game started. Again, we're reading almost up to 60 frames per second just on this little boot here. We're going to be able to load the game. We're reading 60 frames per second at 2x resolution. Still loading. Yeah, as you can see how bad he's moving, we're dropping down to 15 frames per second. And look at what's happened to our image. So, unfortunately, this game is...
Look alive, ladies! The boss is gonna join us!
audio.
Show how it's done, boss!
But see how my lettering is skipping? Horrible, horrible, horrible. So that is not a good go on the Crossmix version on the TSP-S. Let's completely get out of that. That's really embarrassing. We're going to have to make some settings changes. I'll have to go a little deeper. I've just got these games loaded on here. So I'm just kind of giving you a preview of them as well while we're still getting this set up. I have done Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition. I believe it ran pretty well. No, we do not. So let's go ahead and do continue. We're going to go settings. Again, 2x resolution. We're going to leave that at that right now. Same, again, we're automatically defaulting the Vulkan. So let's see how far we can get on this gameplay. Going through the credits. We're going to have to create a profile. Let's go ahead and get this done. We'll get pops on there. We're going to do a quick race. Again, going into the settings and playing the gameplay can be a little confusing because your function keys, you're going to be going backwards again. 14, this is horrible. Audio is just... And we're not doing any changes on our frame skip. We didn't do any settings. We could probably make some changes. But we are really driving poorly here. This is... Now we'll go here. Let's go to settings. Let's do this. We're going to go back out. We're going to do a save state. We're going to switch it to Vulkan Performance. So we're going to go ahead and exit. We're going to go ahead and get out of this. We'll revert back to that same game. Let's go with the performance. And what we'll also do is we'll actually flip our switch for CPU performance on, which is be maxing out. Perfect. We go to the menu. As you can see, my save state is there. See how much of a change that was? 30 frames per second. We can actually drive. Audio's been clear. But as far as the gameplay, working well, much better. It's tolerable. So, like I said, it's tolerable, except for my driving skills. So again, what we did was we changed it, we ramped it up on this particular game, and we might have to do that again, maybe on one of the other particular games. But on Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition, what's preferred is probably go with the Vulkan Performance, keep it at 2x resolution, and again, if you have your CPU performance on, that raises it up. And to bring that up actually, with the home key, right now, it's showing on demand and the speed is only 1416 because we're not running a game. We've gotten out of it. But when it was running, we could probably see the menu. So that would be an interesting fact to show right real quick. Let's go ahead and get out of this. Menu key. Whoops, power button. Okay, we've got this on demand. Let's go back to this game. We're going to go load. There we go. Now, if we were to pause it, hit the home key. As you can see, set up to performance. We're still reading the speed at 1416 megahertz, but I can feel that the fan is probably running a little bit warmer in the back. And I feel that there is a little bit more warmth there, just so you should know that. Let's go ahead and get out of that. But I just wanted to see if that would change any. So it's just something you can maybe check and see if it does increase. Let's go ahead and get out of that. Let's hit one more PPS game. Another one that's got some high activity with action. Let's go with Ghost Rider. Kind of a clone of Gods of War. Dragon Ball is another good one. So let's go here. Let's ramp it up. Volcon Performance. Let's proceed. I believe I do not have a save state. We're going to go to continue. We're going to go to settings. Let's leave it at 2 times resolution. We're not going to change anything at this present time. If you put it to the pause button, you can actually change your settings while the game is still continually going. So if you wanted to see a configuration of maybe when you do display layouts, if we were going to go linear to nearest, clears it up a little bit better. Let's go back. We could stretch it. Integral scale factor. You could change it any other way. There we go. We go back. Go continue. Perfect. Dragon Ball Z Tag Team. We'll go with a new game. We're just going to type in a couple characters. Just to get us proceeded. We'll do a free battle. Again, we're reading at 60 frames per second. We'll go with Kid Trunks. Finish doing a lot of defaulting just to get the game proceeded. Audio.
You think you can stand in my way? It's hopeless.
There we go. Working really well. Working really well. And we're reading, I have no idea, over 30 frames per second. It's really hard to see. But as far as the input, we're not doing too bad based on this game. Got him, almost. Whoa, we just got burned. But again, that's an example, so let's go here and tweak it up. Go to settings, go to 4 times resolution. You can already hear it chittering. definitely 3 times resolution. Same thing. So maxing it out on this particular game would definitely be only 2 times resolution, but using the Volcon performance. But as far as the image, even at 2 times and no change on the frame skip, not bad at all. Not bad. Very pleasing. So again, that's my PSP review using Crossmix